Money making money making money.
Come on, you gotta tell me, how is this even possible?
It's easy. 1, you take your money and you put it in this secret spot. 2, you let that money grow with compound interest. 3, then you find a place for that money to go where it can work for you. 4, and then every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, you join me for a wealth webinar.
I'll do it.
It's free. Plus, if you join me now, you'll get my free ebook that teaches you to get all the money back for every car you buy, drive, and own. So take advantage of this opportunity and I'll see you there.
Hey, are you ready to take control of your financial future? Welcome to Private Money Club. Private Money Club is the ultimate online platform connecting real estate entrepreneurs with private money lenders just like you. Whether you're looking to fund your next deal or lend money to grow your wealth, Private Money Club is your go-to resource. You can post deals, find funding, connect with other like-minded professionals. It's just a community. It's a community that you need to plug into. If you're new to the game, no problem. Our Learn platform and our weekly coaching webinars and our on-demand resources are here to guide you every step of the way. Join a thriving network of real estate experts who are already making an impact, and they're waiting to partner with you. So Private Money Club gives you the tools, the training, the connections, and everything you need to achieve your financial goals. So why don't you start now by going to privatemoneyclub.com. We'll see you inside. Hey, you need to become your own bank. And it's as simple as changing one thing, and that is where your money goes first. I mean, think about it. Household debts in this country are at all-time highs. You got tons of market volatility. You got the potential for Social Security running out of money. You've got global uncertainty, political divide, and you have to figure out where you're going to put your hard-earned savings. I mean, this is one of those times in history where the rich are getting richer, and it is time to learn the secrets of the wealthy. But here's the good news. Every single Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I put on a free webinar where I teach you how to take back control of your money by teaching you how to become your own bank. So click the link below and let's get started.
So let's go into the app, because the app was created after a dating site, believe it or not. So people with money and people that need money. Phone, swipe left. Swipe left. Ooh, I like that one. Swipe right. You want to go on. If you got money, you want to swipe left through all the deals. When you find one you like, boom, you're connected. How much more difficult does this really need to be? This isn't rocket science. They want you to think it is because they want control of your money. It is time to take back control of our money. I want to invite you to a free interactive webinar that we're doing to teach you how to get prepared for what's about to happen and how you can grow, preserve, and protect your wealth and get it ready for a recession or maybe the next Great Depression. So all I need you to do is click the link below. You're not going to want to miss this with all this stuff going on.
Are you sick of having your money lying around not doing anything? Well, we've got the solution for you. PrivateMoneyClub.com. Back to you, Chris.
So that's what it is. Private Money Club was created for you and for all of us. So I've got something special. Since you're here, you're listening to us talk to you about the infinite banking concept, I wanted to make an offer. Private Money Club is something that will benefit each of you, but we've got what's called the Accelerator. The Private Money Club Accelerator is a coaching program that takes together the knowledge that you'll need to be your own bank and puts it together with the opportunities in Private Money Club so that now you learn and apply the knowledge. Check it out. We got a very special offer for you to be part of the next Accelerator coaching program and get you into Private Money Club so your money starts working for you.
Hey everybody, it's Buff Finance Guy here, ready to show you how to make some serious gains. But not only in the gym, with your wallet too. Most people put their money in the bank doing absolutely nothing for them. But I'm gonna show you how it doesn't have to be that way. So take Andrew here. His money has just been sitting lazy in the bank. But all he has to do is change one thing, and that's where the money goes first, and everything changes. Just change where your money goes first, silly.
Wait, just one change?
Yeah, that's it. Instead of sending it to the bank, you send it to your very own banking system. Your money can grow and get stronger, just like me.
It's time for Money School TV. You heard it straight from the horse's mouth.
He's been on the fence to come to PMC Money Take. I'm telling you right now, you're missing out on a treat.
This is the ultimate watering hole for lenders and borrowers.
If you've got decent deals, you'll find the funding for it.
The networking here has been fantastic.
Absolutely phenomenal.
Tremendously beneficial.
Oh my gosh, so many people to network with.
First day, I probably met 5 or 6 people. They show me ideas, I show them ideas. We're actually on stage about 20 minutes ago, and since then, I've already had about 20 people reach out.
There are several people that I probably will be doing business with.
I have like 15 private lenders ready to fund my deals. The people here are amazing and so welcoming.
You walk in, everyone greets you right away. No one is a stranger.
It's just an amazing and comfortable place to be.
There's so much stuff that I've been able to learn that I didn't know. I've had aha moments over and over again.
They talked about normal rates of return, not 6%, we're talking about 10%, but in a way that's ethically sound and stable. It's full disclosure, but helps walk you through everything. They even talk about it on stage of like, we've already made the mistakes, so here we are, and we're teaching you to not make the same mistakes. You get to learn from us, you get to just follow our direction and just see what you can do. I've gotten great things out of the virtual events, but there's no comparison to actually coming here, experiencing the energy, and getting to meet all of the people. Everyone is here looking to grow in some capacity. Being in this environment, it allows you to feed on that and foster that.
During the event, they had a lender-borrower meet and greet, which is pretty cool. It's different when you can spend some time, have a meal together, hang out, joke around. The people are just a blast.
It's so much fun.
The community of the Money Tank PMC, the whole crew with Chris, Steven, Jonah, everybody, and Joe, they've all helped me out. It's been changing my life.
You're gonna learn something, you're gonna meet someone, and it's definitely gonna make a big difference in your business. Not by a little bit, but by a lot.
I mean, you could stay stuck thinking you can do it on your own. There's a lot of people that I talk to, their issue, and then they come here, and I talk to them a year later, and they've grown so much just by coming to this event.
Started $15,000 in credit card debt. As of today, I have $550,000 out in private lending. That's what this teaches you.
I tell people all the time, you have to get in the room to be around the like-minded people.
Go. It's worth it.
Just come. Do it for yourself. Do it for your business.
Take action. You got to do it.
Come to the event, you don't want to miss it.
Well, the biggest thing I hope that people get is something that they can actually apply in their lives. You know, that's the biggest thing for any of these events that we want. We want people to leave here not just riled up, not just excited, but actually going out and doing something that'll put them in a better financial situation, help their family. And for the speakers, my goal is that they go out and they impact the audience and bring something the audience never had exposure to that allows them to then fill in that piece that they're looking for. I'm going to be talking about more lease options. I'm going to be talking about equity shares. I'm going to be talking about a bunch of fun stuff today. Because again, I'm not here to teach about how to do those deals. I'm here to teach about how to invest in those deals.
Filled with individuals that are like-minded, that are at the top of their craft, they're at the top of their game. And for anybody that's an attendee, it's just a mind-blowing experience.
It's almost going to be hard to speak anywhere else but here because it was such a great experience. I felt like, I don't know. It was amazing. Nothing less than amazing, literally.
At the PMC Money Tank event, which is an epic event that we're putting together that does one thing and one thing only, makes everybody money. It brings people with money together with people that need money. It's like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You just smash them together and everybody wins.
Wednesday, 9:30, 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. Going live!
All right. There we are. Nobody's live. All right. Yeah. Surprise, surprise. End of year. All right. It's another week, which means it's another wealth webinar coming up this afternoon. But this morning, we've got WTF. Obviously, my brain was on wealth webinar, not WTF, but we're getting kicked off here. Today's episode is going to be a fun one. It's going to be about leverage and pressure. So 2 topics that definitely can kind of go down the rabbit hole, but also off the rocker. And I think this is an important one because we're seeing signs that the economy isn't quite as strong as we're being told. And we're going to dissect that. We're going to talk a lot about that. We're going to talk about some companies that are going bankrupt. We're going to talk about the gift card debacle. We're going to talk about the Paramount, Netflix, Warner Brothers, all these things. We're also going to hit we're in a very strange time of change. And I think that's an interesting thing to really kind of start with is there's so much happening. I mean, companies like SpaceX, are going to go public with over $1 trillion. I almost couldn't even say that. $1 trillion valuation. Like Stephen and I were talking back a while ago about how much $1 trillion is. And it's just an almost inconceivable amount of money. Now, I know we got used to that back during the pandemic with $5.2 trillion being printed into existence, and everybody was surprised when their dollars bought less. Oh, I'm sorry, they called that inflation. You can call it what you want. It's when they print dollars, your dollars become worth less. Simple, right? There's no more new dollars, so when they print more, it dilutes your value. Check out from when 1913 all the way through to today, what's happened to a $100 bill. Yeah, it'll frighten you a little bit, but we're gonna really talk about how all this is happening. We're gonna talk about what the government's doing. Mr. Donald Trump. We're gonna talk about how he's using tariffs, blockades, and economic force to reshape the world, not just our country, but the world. And it's happening at rapid speeds with quantum computing right on the brink of coming into our lives, and AI already here and replacing people's jobs at rapid levels. So you either got to embrace it. And I had a conversation yesterday with somebody in our industry, and we were talking about the future, and we were talking about change and how necessary it is to evolve and to be nimble and to change. And there's just a lot of people that just are unwilling to change. And I got bad news for all of them. They will be left behind. No ifs, no ands, and no buts about it. It'd be the same equivalence of you saying when computers came out, oh, these are never going to work. We're never going to, fully adopt computers. And look at us now. But these are some of the things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about who understands this system well enough and just what everybody else feels. So with that being said, let's dive in to what I think is going to be an epic end of year WTF.
You muted, Chris. Muted.
What happened to Chris there?
You're muted, man. You're muted.
What's going on, Nagy?
That's AI. AI is taking over my computer. My computer has been a complete disaster. Anyway, I was just saying, Stephen, what's happening down there in Florida?
What's up, Chris? Yeah, everything's good, man. I'm happy to be here right now. I almost missed the show. I'm not going to lie. Last thing I was doing before I left my house, I decided to shave real fast, look nice and fresh for the last show of the year. I get about halfway through. Guess what happens? The shaver dies. No more power in it. So I'm like, half my face is hairy. Half my face is clean. I'm looking like the Joker. I'm like, what am I going to do? We got the show coming up here in no time. So real quick, I plugged the thing in. I said, let's charge this thing very quickly. Let's charge. I gave it 15 minutes. Right as I had to run out the door, pulled it out, finished shaving. I'm here, ready to rock, baby. Let's go. So I'm happy to be here. 2025 coming to a wild end, and looking forward to 2026. Let's get into this today. What's up, St. James?
What's going on, Steve? I'm glad that the shaver decided to save your face. Those electric shavers, they're never going to catch on. Just give me, a piece of metal, even just a sharp rock. I'll make it work.
Hey, fun fact, I've never, ever in my life used a true razor to shave my face.
All right, now I know what to get you for Christmas. Looking forward to this last show of the season. As you saw, that we have a lot of great stories coming up today, and I'm really looking forward to this holiday season and seeing a whole bunch of the family. We're not really going to be doing too much in terms of gifts. It's going to be a lot more about activities, which is I am all about. But without any delay, man, let's get this party rolling. I can't wait.
All right, well, let's kick it off with Spirit Airlines. And now there's been a whole bunch of stuff going around in the Reddits and other social media is saying that Spirit Airlines is canceling. They're going bankrupt. Your flights are going to be canceled. None of that's true. Now, they are having some financial difficulties. They had to get a $100 million lifeline, but Spirit Airlines will more than likely get gobbled up by Frontier. But I do want to talk about the 800-pound gorilla in the room. If I'm not mistaken, James, I've never flown Spirit, but I've flown Frontier, or tried to one time, and almost got arrested because they wouldn't let me on the plane. But that's a whole nother story. So I don't like Frontier, but Spirit, I've heard some rumors about this. This is the one that you literally, when you get on the tarmac, you get out of the plane and everybody pushes the plane down the runway so that it can get to a proper speed to take off. Am I correct about the airline?
You know what? You're actually not too far off. They actually have a horse alignment and then carriage alignment that actually gets the plane up to speed. There's a reason why Spirit is called the school bus of the sky. They're big, they're yellow, and it is extremely bare bones. So if you've ever flown Frontier, you've flown Spirit, and maybe you almost getting arrested and put on the no-fly list did you a favor, because it's extremely bare bones. But I'm really concerned about this. As we look into this article, we see that Spirit Airlines, it was actually blocked from being absorbed into JetBlue, and JetBlue was trying to occupy that space between a budget aircraft airline and a kind of a mid-range, kind of your Delta, maybe American Airlines, and it was blocked by the government, citing lack of competition. You know, there's going to be too much consolidation amongst the airlines, and JetBlue doesn't really occupy that much in terms of the airline space when you talk about overall volume. So now that Spirit is on its last leg, so to speak, yeah, it might just be absorbed by Frontier. And that means there will only be one discount airline that'll be available for the skies. And that means they can essentially raise prices to a threshold that will maybe really push out a lot of people who are looking to fly around, like around the holidays.
Yeah, well, I remember Southwest used to be considered a budget airline, like an affordable airline. They're not very affordable anymore, are they?
No. I mean, they are about one of the big three airlines that are out there between US and United and Delta as well. So that's the big four. But what I find with Southwest is they developed a tremendous amount of goodwill and loyalty. It's one thing to advertise and get new clients, but people were fiercely loyal about Southwest. And as their rates have kind of gradually climbed up, they're getting a lot of pushback and ill will from those people who are longtime holders of the Southwest point system and saying, I like the whole system that you have. It was free for all seating. You know, your first bag is free. All of those things were heart marks amongst the Southwest Airlines that really kept people coming back. And now with this new ownership, it's unfortunate. So the question becomes that is going to come up is this: is Frontier Spirit going to be able to develop that type of loyal following? Are they going to alienate a lot of people? Do they have that level of following that people are going to be like, yeah, you know what? I fly Spirit and I'm actually able to hold my head high about this.
No,
I don't know. A lot of people are.
You think they are?
I don't.
Oh, you don't. I agree with you. I don't think anyone's ever going to have that brand loyalty.
When I flew Frontier last, because I was a little ashamed there, but had to do what I had to do.
Yeah. No, listen, Frontier, it really flying. All the airlines suck. You know, if anyone follows my stuff, you've seen me complain about Delta, which most would say Delta is like the premium airline brand, but they suck too. They all suck. It just depends on which one sucks the worst. I think flying nowadays is more about who's got the most efficient, flight for where you're going. And that's even a thing. Like, I know it's different parts of the country. You can get more directs, but like here, there's hardly any direct flights. Southwest is probably the leader in direct flights out of Buffalo, and a lot of other airlines, like there's just the direct flights are just almost a thing of the past in some cases, especially if you're going across country. It's just difficult. There a lot of times, there's two layovers, and every time you lay over, there's a chance of you missing your flight, and that's definitely a major concern. But anyway, moving past Spirit, I'd like to talk about the really big airplanes, and those are the SpaceX rockets. And I love it when people. I mean, the dude literally catches rockets out of thin air, with chopsticks. It's just absolutely beyond fascinating. And the other day, I don't know why, I just got thinking about that, of just like, what that was like. I'm sure it started with like just model ships, right? Like they would just kind of like what we did when we were kids, the rocket ships we used to blast off. I'm sure Elon just sat out there with his team of engineers and they were just like, hey, can we build a apparatus that catches this as it's coming down? And then from there, they're like, okay, here's the physics and the mathematics around catching, just a model jet or model rocket from, thin air. And then they're like, let's try this in real life. And today I don't know what their percentage of accuracy, but I think it's pretty high, but that isn't even the big story. It's one thing to catch rockets out of the sky, which saves the company tremendous, probably billions of dollars, because they can reuse the rockets, and launch them again, just pack them full of juice and shoot them off again. But what they're really, really doing, I find absolutely fascinating, is Starlink. So when you look at SpaceX, are you buying the rockets, because they're looking to go public at a $1.5 trillion valuation. What are you buying? I think you're buying the story, right? You're buying the story of Starlink. You're buying the story of the chopsticks catching rockets out of the sky.
Going to Mars, making life multiplanetary. That's SpaceX.
Yeah. Basically it's kind of just, if you can dream it, if you can believe it, if you can dream it, you can achieve it. That's Elon. Like, just the things that he does. It's almost inconceivable that that's possible today, but it's happening, and they're going to go public. And you know what? It's going to change. Like my neighborhood, I'll be honest, like I have Verizon, which I would say is probably the best carrier out there. But in my neighborhood, I don't get any service. With Starlink, there'd be no dead zones anywhere. With Starlink, you could use it on your planes. All this stuff happens today. It's all being done today, but it is the future. He is changing the entire world and will continue to do it. I think it's fantastic, and kudos to him.
Yeah, even crossing from Florida here to the Bahamas on a boat, in the past, you'd have to pay for these thousands and thousands of dollars for these satellite phones to have some kind of safety when you're going over there, because you're in the middle of the ocean. There's no cell phone reception, obviously. And so with Starlink now, you can pay like $30 a month added onto your phone bill, and you can do everything you want anywhere in the world. Like, it truly is fascinating. And they keep, doing more and more with it. It keeps getting better and better and better. I sit here a couple times a week and I watch these rockets getting launched just north of me up in Cape Canaveral up into space. And they really are amazing to watch. So, I've said it before, I'm 99% sure Elon Musk is not even from Earth.
Yeah, he might be an alien.
So, yeah, so who better to lead us into this universe, into the outer space, than somebody that's from there? So it's great. It's a good match.
Absolutely.
As much as I'd love to gush about Elon, I like some of the plans that he's talking about, especially, that Starlink and how SpaceX is revolutionizing space travel and transport. I think that it's going to be a case of over promising and being slow to deliver. He's talking about there's going to be a global cell phone network. And I think that's something that we could probably do to this very moment. So that'll be fine. But he's also talking about building data centers up in space. And he's also talking about there's going to be this huge amount of things, this valuation of $1.5 trillion. We know that the market is pretty overhyped right now. Imagine the fervor when people are thinking, I get to get on the ground floor for the next Tesla, and how much that is going to drive up stock price. And I am admitting, Chris, and to you and Nagy, I am going to be a hypocrite, and I'm going to get in on that IPO. I'm going to ride the wave, and then I'm going to cry, just like when this rocket ship comes back down and people come to their senses about what the true valuation and the true productivity of this company is. But that's a stock that I think is a long-term hold.
Yeah, I agree. But, I've learned a thing or two about big public IPOs like this. Like, typically not the best thing to buy the IPO or buy the stock right when it opens up. Typically they run them up and then they have a steep fall off. But hey, listen, I'm not giving financial advice. Do what you guys do what you want to do. I just would proceed cautiously is all. I'm not saying it's not a good investment long haul. I don't know. It's just one of those things. There's a lot of buzz around it. A lot of stupid money will chase that and run the price up. So buyers beware. Let's move on to you getting ripped off. And I freaking knew it. Instacart. We all use Instacart. My wife uses Instacart, and I knew those bastards were ripping us off. They're supposed to have price fixing, right? Everybody's supposed to get charged basically the same thing for Instacart. Am I wrong about that? That was like their big thing, right? Like,
that's right.
Level pricing.
That's
Bullshit.
right. Same price for all.
Bullshit. Their algorithm and their AI looks at the neighborhood you're in, looks at the demographics of the neighborhood, and prices you for your neighborhood. I'm just calling out what I always knew was going on. But you know what?
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Sure
I don't care, man.
pretty sure
my Instacarts
I'm pretty sure they got caught red-handed. I'm not sure about that, Steve. I'm pretty sure they showed it.
Yeah, when we do Instacart, man, it's freaking, it just seems like it's way more than what other people would pay. But I can't prove that. I'm just saying I just knew it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, what's interesting, what was going on is basically Instacart was looking at people's average order price. They're looking at their zip code and they're saying, well, you know what, maybe we can nudge up the pricing another 50 cents to $1 on certain goods and items. And a number of investigative teams went in and said, wait a minute, are people actually getting charged more for Instacart? Now, personally, I've never used Instacart, but I understand the convenience in today's society. Some people are paying for Instacart Unlimited and just getting all these groceries delivered to them on demand. But that says a lot because this dynamic pricing isn't limited to just Instacart. What also is a blind spot about this story is that other companies such as Target, and I think Walmart was kind of getting thrown in there as well, is offering dynamic pricing on numbers of individuals so that when you go to the register, even if you're picking up an item in the store, you'll notice that the label for the price is not there. And then they have the technology already to track you through the entire store, what departments you're going into, and how much stuff you're putting into your cart and how much you're taking out. And then once you get to the register, your price might be different than the person directly behind you. But because we're just used to letting the total just run on up, we don't pay very, very close attention. So I hope that the consumer watchdogs that watch over our markets and doesn't let rampant corporatocracy just run amok and do whatever they choose allows them to say, hey, look, you cannot do this because this is unfair to the American public. And I think that this Instacart story is just the first part of the iceberg, just the tip of the iceberg. And we're going to see some huge movement from down below.
Yeah, but to be clear, Instacart is denying it. They're saying that the stores are the ones that are doing the price changes.
Okay.
Stores are saying, and also, I kind of disagree with you. I think let the stores do what they want. If people don't want to shop there, then they don't have to shop there. So I think it's bullshit, all this regulation.
Well, I was just going to say, just be careful what you wish for. The more government involvement, the more government regulation you ask for and that you get, the worse off things get. I mean, listen,
and the more that you let
before you know it, you're like China, Canada, and all these other communist or socialist, countries. You just got to be careful. Like, you almost need, Austrian economics is to me the ultimate, but it's basically you just got to let things go and they, they will straighten themselves out. Private entity will straighten themselves out. And, the more and more government regulation you put on things, the worse and worse it gets. That's my personal opinion. I was just simply making a point that I knew they were doing that because I don't know why would
right. Yeah, obviously,
well,
guys, I disagree.
Partly because that's probably what I would do.
The Rockefellers, they had the Standard Oil Company, and that was a monopoly. Without some level of regulation, we end up with monopolies, and people have no choice. So it seems like it's just two ends of the same scale when it comes to our opinions about those things. You
just got to be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, but those monopolies are also highly, highly subsidized by government. The government's controlling a lot of that stuff. Mm-hmm. So they need to get completely out of it. And a lot of those monopolies would never even occur in the first place. But again, that's a whole nother discussion. And, are we going to get into jobs at some point? I'm sure here. Like,
oh yeah,
headlines.
Well, let's move on. With this because this is all economy.
Yeah,
let's talk about another big scam. I'm going to move past the tech force and talk about the big scam, which is gift cards. I know when I used to be in retail, we loved selling gift cards because we knew that a bunch of them were never going to get redeemed. So we always, the system would track it all. And that's the case. I mean, and when you talk on a bigger scale, I think we're looking at $500 billion were sold on gift cards. And if you look at the numbers, 10 to 20% are never used. So just do the math. 500 billion times 10 or 20%. That's a lot of cheddar. And Starbucks is one of the biggest out there. I think $3.5 billion of Starbucks. Pretty wild, isn't it?
Guilty. I have a stack of gift cards and probably a quarter of those are Starbucks cards.
Yeah, so, there you go.
Wow.
Into that. But it's also the lazy people, right? Instead of going and finding a present for somebody, you just buy them a gift card, buy them a gift card, buy them a gift card.
It is.
Sometimes that's a good thing, Sometimes it's
the the worst gift cards are the restaurant ones. Like I have probably a stack of them. You know, you lose them, you can't find them. You go there and you don't use it all, and then you got like $10 left. You never use that. You know, that's just the fact of that's just the reality of the whole situation.
Absolutely. I mean, with gift cards, it's actually a triple win for corporations because obviously they get the transactional amount of the $50, $100 that people put down on the card. So that money is just sitting on their books. And then with 1 year, they can say, well, you know what? Now this is pure profit, because most gift cards that go over 1 year of unused, they never get used ever again. So they're able to say, hey, yep, this is complete profit for us. And then the other additional ways that this is profit for them is that when you use them, you actually use over. So it locks in a new consumer base that says, hey, look, I've got $50, but this dinner or this particular carpet or whatever it is going to be $75. So now they get the profit on that. And of course, they get the profit and additional sales on whatever item it is that they're selling. So, I mean, gift cards are a wonderful idea for corporations and these entities, but man, you got to make sure you use them. Make sure, please.
Yeah. All right, well, let's talk about not the task force, but the tech force. I love this. I think this should have been done a long time ago, but the White House is backing a federal initiative to recruit top technologists to modernize government systems and accelerate the implementation of artificial intelligence. Now, hopefully, they also watch Terminator 2 before they really dive into this to understand the problems that could happen with this. But they're looking to hire approximately 1,000 early career engineers. Great opportunity for all the engineers out there that can't find work, and experienced technical managers for 2-year terms with various federal agencies. And what they're going to be doing is tackling critical challenges related to AI, cybersecurity, data analytics, and software engineering. So I think this is a very important thing, because without this type of research being done on AI, cybersecurity, and all this, like, things are getting kind of crazy. I mean, there has been more scams being emailed out and people getting caught up in these AI driven scams. It's crazy. So I don't know. What are you guys taking? What's your takes on Tech Force?
Personally, I love Tech Force. I feel that it is a good entry-level way for people to get the experience that they need. One of the big problems that goes on with the public versus the private sector is that the public sector just simply doesn't pay enough in comparison to private sector jobs. So the thing is like, why would I want to work for the government? Why would I want to get this menial pay and the same level of work and actually more bureaucracy in most cases versus a private sector job? Well, now you actually get this experience, and it's an actual mark of credibility that can go on your resume. A lot of major tech firms, your Facebooks, your Googles, your Reddits, they've already said if somebody wants to take a sabbatical and leave one of our organizations to go work for Tech Force and help fortify the U.S. government structure in a non-government role, well, absolutely. And I think that that's going to be a great point, because we remember the massive failure, which was healthcare.gov or whatever it was, where the government rolled out the healthcare plan. And the engineers behind the scenes said, no, we should not roll it all out at once. We should not do this. But politicians be politicking, and they were completely overrode. And that's why we had the massive debacle, which was the failure of the government healthcare website. So now, with people getting good input and valuable actual influence, we're going to be seeing the modernization of the U.S. government's tech system. And I think this is going to be a great place to get this growing.
Love it.
I love it, man. I mean, we're doing it ourselves right now in the Naugle family of companies, bringing in somebody to kind of oversee and manage all the tech or AI development.
Yeah. And speaking of which, Chris, don't we have something that's a pretty big tech deal going on with the Money School family?
Yeah. I mean, the Vault software, our company, BYOB Innovations, literally what we did is, Craig, one of the engineers on our team, brilliant human being, we started 2 years ago, actually a little over 2 years ago, creating tools to solve people's problems. And the whole idea, the problem with what we do which is the infinite banking concepts, is it's just kind of old fashioned in the way that it's administered, the way it's implemented. It involves spreadsheets and tracking. And, it reminded me of back in the day when I used atlases to go to snowboard contests over in New Hampshire, Maine, and Vermont. Like, if you had a detour, you had bad weather or something was going on, you had to go back to the atlas and replot your course. And then, AAA, we used the triptychs. Those were always cool. But somebody sat down one day and was like, this is nonsense. People just don't travel because it's just too complicated. complicated for them to figure out how to get there. So they created this GPS. They wrote code that basically you just put a destination in a computer, in a device, and then it just mathematically takes you to your destination the fastest, most efficient way possible. Well, I just had this idea with Craig that we need to create the GPS, the operating system for infinite banking. And that's what we created. Now, in creating this, what we needed to do right from the get-go is adopt AI, because AI is the only way you can automate and basically create this operating system. So we created AI Chris and AI Christie, okay, which are kind of the engines behind it. And we trained them. We didn't let them go fish the internet, because then you get hallucinations. We trained them on only what we wanted them to be specialized in. And then we basically implemented them. And we're at the early stages, but AI is the leading driver of the Vault software, but it is an operating system for your private banking systems and your infinite banking concept. That's all we did. And you know what Stephen had mentioned, we're in the process now of hiring an entire tech team, an internal proprietary tech team with a CTO that are going to basically lead the path into this new dynamic, because I believe if you're not changing, you're dying right now. To redo all of our workflows, to add agentic AI into everything we do, not to replace humans, but to aid humans, so that you basically get a scalability with one person that it fits a culture. Because, you know, and I don't mean to say humans, but I don't know how else to say it, but a human being can develop a relationship a computer and AI cannot. I think we all can agree with that. So AI, I've dealt with companies that have replaced people with AI, and I just think it's a terrible, terrible experience. But when you have a human that is developing the relationship on the front end, supported by agentic AI that is learning, developing, and actually communicating with us, I think that's the ultimate. So it basically just helps as the thought leadership world changes. It just helps give you additional resources or horsepower. And that's what we're doing. And it's a major undertaking, but I just believe getting out in front of competition is exactly what you got to do. So that's how we're using it.
And Chris, I just want to add real fast, we're doing a full 3-day virtual training on how to become your own bank, but we're using better systems. We're using AI. We're using things like the BYOB Vault and what BYOB Innovations is creating. And, you know, we have some of the top IBC experts in the entire country, top trained, that they're more knowledgeable than anybody I've ever met. And we go to all the industry events and everything. And so our team's coming together to put on this 3-day training, January 30th, 31st, and February 1st. So grab a ticket for it. It's a great thing. You know, we're talking about gift cards. I mean, what better present to give than financial education? You know, buy a ticket, give it to somebody in their stocking this summer. I'll share the page real fast just to give you guys an idea. And we're adding to this page some of the details, like who the speakers are, the topics, things like this. But I'll just tell you now, if you guys are watching, you're not going to want to miss this. I know a lot of you have already gotten your tickets for it. It's January 30th, 31st. I just know the start of the year, Chris, goes by a snap of a finger. You know, everybody gets so busy with New Year's resolutions and get back to school and work and everything else. So get your ticket now, lock it in so we can get to the end of January. You can hop on. We're mailing out physical workbooks. Shauna put together an incredible workbook that follows along with the whole weekend. It's really, really cool. So I'd recommend getting the VIP so you can get that physical workbook. We're also doing 2 bonus sessions for VIP on family banking and how to implement that into your life using the Rockefeller method. So really cool stuff. Check it out. $97 gets you everything. And it's just a really great way to start the new year. So highly suggest just check it out, and looking forward to seeing you guys there. Back to it.
All right. Well, let's take that and grab your tickets for that virtual event. You're going to learn a ton, but let's move on to one of my favorite segments, which is WTF, right here on our soil, U.S.
My fellow Americans.
So you know the thing. I love that. All right. Well, what we're going to start with is Paramount. You maybe have heard about this, the Skydance, Paramount, Warner Brothers, Discovery deal. I mean, I don't even know how many more names I need to stack onto this thing, but this has been all over the news. I don't fully understand it outside of it just comes down to you've got a board and you got shareholders kind of driving the ship a little bit here, because right now, as of December 8th, Paramount launched an all-cash, this is wild, all-cash, $108.4 billion tender offer for Warner Brothers Discovery. Now, the problem is they kind of had a deal with Netflix, a deal for $82.7 billion. But if you're a shareholder or a board member, are you going to go with the all cash $108 billion, or are you going to go with the Netflix $82.7 billion? So, James, let me have you kick this off, because this is kind of a difficult one that I don't fully understand all the legalities and the issues with this, but what the heck's going on?
Well, right now, the battle for America's attention is directly underway. The streaming wars are for real. And in one corner, you have Paramount, backed by Larry Ellison and this conglomerate that also includes Jared Kushner and his investment firm. And they were basically up against Netflix on the opposite end with basically the same limitless amount of cash in order to bid for HBO, properties like Warner Brothers, properties like Discovery. And even then, people were like, why did Warner Brothers merge with Discovery as a standalone streaming service? And so what's happening is, now that HBO, Warner Brothers, Discovery is kind of dying off, and they're basically saying, you know, we can't compete by ourselves. It is between these two industry titans that they're saying, like, look, we have to go somewhere. Whoever wants our particular streaming service, you know what? Give us your best offer and we're going to go for it. Now, Netflix basically upped their offer, as Paramount was the first bidder, and said, you know, we're going to go $80 billion for the actual service. But the issue is that a lot of Netflix shareholders said, you know what? We maybe don't want to hold this much in HBO. We really don't need to have this huge catalog, especially for a streaming service that only has a few niche titles. But with that, you also get Superman and Batman and everything else, many of which Netflix licenses from the Warner Brothers Discovery Group anyway. On the opposite end, Larry Ellison and Jared Kushner and a Saudi conglomerate, they came in and said, you know what, we want to own this because we're already the front runners for TikTok. We already own this Paramount streaming service, and we need to do more, and it'll be good for competition. As we know, Jared Kushner is a close friend of the president's. So he's saying, you know what, my dad is going to be able to help us out in getting this approved by the FCC. But now they're realizing, you know what, this $108 billion offer, all cash, maybe it's not actually worth it. And now they're actually trying to pull back a little bit. But right now, Warner Brothers is saying, no. You've already thrown your name into the hat. You guys have committed to it. And chances are you guys are probably going to have to go ahead and run with this now. So it's going to be an interesting race to the finish. And maybe Netflix may have dodged a bullet as well by not putting up such a crazy offer for the streaming service.
I agree that Netflix probably doesn't need this, but that's just a personal opinion.
Yeah, but now you got to look at what Netflix does, though. Netflix spends billions of dollars a year trying to create new content, to create new IP, create new stuff. If they were to be able to buy this merger, you know, and buy these companies, they now own all that IP. Yeah. Like you mentioned, all those famous names we all know. Now they can take that and create spin-offs from those known names, and it saves them a lot of money in the long run on creation. So there's a lot of different ways to look at this. I'm sure there's a lot going on behind the scenes with it all, and
that's a big swing, though. 82 to 108 billion. That's a big swing, man.
That's a massive number.
But as it looks, I mean, they're looking like they're going to reject the Paramount's bid. So obviously, I don't know. Lot to be unpacked on that one.
Right. A lot of people are worried that Netflix then will become this overarching super streaming monolith. And again, to throw out that M word, monopoly, when really, I mean, the number one streaming service is YouTube. So Google pretty much dominates everything. And then it goes into Netflix and HBO and Apple TV and Amazon Prime. But people are worried, like, hey, look, with Netflix owning this much, and how much of the market are they actually going to control? Again, while I think that it's all right for them to license a lot of this stuff, I don't think that they really need it. They can develop their own properties. We've seen the advent of how Stranger Things has absolutely dominated its re-release. And Netflix has a lot of other titles out there that they own the entirety of in terms of streaming. So
Apple's making a comeback, though, with F1 and movies like that. Apple's making a big run at Netflix.
That's right.
But let's move on. Let's talk about tariffs. We talk about this every single time, but Trump is going to deliver a primetime address. I believe that's this evening, Wednesday evening tonight. And he's going to outline the plans to use tariff revenue to direct payments to Americans. Now, listen, like, nobody's going to complain about that, right? Like, why not give some of the tariff revenue back? But I gotta kind of put my hat in the ring here. I don't think that's a good thing to do. I think that's buying votes. I really do. I think that's all that is. Like, why isn't it going to pay down the deficit? Why are we distributing tariff revenue to, Americans? And I'm not saying, that's not a good thing. I'm sure everybody would like the proposed $2,000 check that they would get, but aren't we a little bit in debt? Like, why wouldn't that be used solely to pay down the deficit or to invest in infrastructure to increase production here in the United States, which is truly the only way, in my opinion, we're ever going to come out of the deficit. We're not going to pay down the deficit. It's never going to happen. Government's going to continue to spend more and more. The only option is to do what we did back after World War II and increase GDP. If you don't increase GDP, you're never going to get out of the deficit. So I don't know. Listen, there's probably not an American out there that's going to not be excited about getting a check, in benefit of the tariffs, because I think a lot of people feel they're paying more because of the tariffs, but yet they've somehow forgotten the prior administration. They printed $5.2 trillion for a fake, virus, not a fake virus, but just a bullshit scam, in my opinion. I mean, did you see that the vaccine is now basically, isn't it forbidden now or like something like that? Didn't they take it off the market, the vaccine?
Well, I think we're kind of,
I know we're
not
not supposed to go down this rabbit hole, but I got to call it out. Like, we printed $5.2 trillion for something that now, anyway.
Right.
I don't think that's right.
You see JD Vance the other night. JD Vance was asked something and about conspiracy theories, and he's like, "Oh, let me list all the conspiracy theories over the last 3 or 4 years that actually were true." And a lot of that is what he said, Chris. It's a pretty funny clip.
Oh, I make a lot of enemies.
The one thing I'll say about Trump real fast on this tariff payout thing is, listen, man, nobody's perfect. Trump has done 99% of things that have been great, awesome, perfect for this country. This might not be one of those decisions. He's allowed to make a mistake himself. But guess what? A mistake that puts $2,000 in your pocket, not the worst mistake you can make.
No,
so
you're right.
That's what I'll say about that.
Look, I mean, we're never going to agree on tariffs, our tariffs attacks. And one thing we're certainly not going to agree upon is where the allotment of taxes, where tariffs should go. Am I going to turn down a $2,000 check? Probably not. Is it going to feel good for America for a little time? And speaking to people who I knew who were staunch Democrats who flipped sides over the last election, they said, you know what? I remember when Trump was in office, I just felt like I had a lot of money. And I said, well, were you getting a stimulus check? He's like, yeah, those stimmies were great. I said, well, okay, but now that he's here again, do you still feel the same way? And they said no. So maybe this will be the same thing that carries over and gives that same emotional sentiment about the Trump administration for people who are not MAGA. And this is not a shot at anybody. I'm not trying to ruffle any political feathers. I'm just stating it how some people emotionally feel. Would I rather see it go to more infrastructure? We know that we have an ailing electrical grid that we're going to need to massively upgrade with all of these data centers becoming online. We know that we do want to actually pay down some of this national debt, even though it's pretty much a promise of impossibility. I think the real problem is this, though. Trump has promised the proceeds from the tariff revenue to so many different people. He's like, I don't know who should I give it to. I don't know where to direct it to. So let me just give it back to the people. And that way, JD Vance or whoever is going to be the next in line for terms of presidential office, they can say, you know what, you can expect more of the same. And I think a lot of people are going to fall for it.
I think we can all agree that certainly would help the ratings. No ifs, no ands, no buts about it. But, one thing I'm going to move on to, because we got a lot to cover, is Ford, the mistake they made. So Ford jumped on the bandwagon of the electric cars and produced the F-150 Lightning. Do any of you own the F-150 Lightning? Anyone? Because I had a friend that owned one, and they owned it for less than 6 months, and they traded it back in, saying it was the biggest piece of shit they ever drove in their life. The battery didn't last. It didn't do well in cold temps. But I guess he wasn't the only one upset, because Ford announced on Monday that it's discontinuing production of an all-electric F-150 Lightning pickup truck and taking a $19.5 billion charge-off as the Detroit automaker pivots away from large battery electric vehicles and moves toward hybrids. This is the thing. I never understood why all these manufacturers went all electric when Toyota had proved that the hybrid model, like the Prius model, was amazing. I have never in my life met somebody that drives a Prius that wasn't thrilled with their gas mileage and the car and the reliability. But yet we just went right past this whole hybrid thing. Toyota didn't. They didn't. They're like, F this electric thing. We're going to stick with our hybrids because this shit works. But they went right over it. And now a 19.5 billion charge off. I mean, Ford stock has been a pretty shitty stock to own for a lot of investors, but yet these are the reasons why. These are the reasons why. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Well, honestly, I mean, I was excited about the F-150 Lightning, but I'm not a truck guy. You know, I'm not going to be hauling. I'm not showing up to the job site. And a lot of my commutes are actually a lot further than the 300 or 250 mile range that the F-150 had. So while the Lightning was in a bottle for a little bit, so to speak, with all this excitement about, wow, an EV truck, I think it alienated its core buying group. And on paper, Ford thought, hey, this is a great idea. We've got great electronic technology over here. We've got the nation's #1 selling pickup truck and I think overall vehicle. Let's put it together and literally create a superstorm. But unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of sentiment of what you're saying, where the F-150 Lightning just isn't being able to keep its charge, so to speak. And it's a little bit unfortunate, but I think that if they had moved to a hybrid model, I definitely agree with you there, Chris. It would have moved a lot more units. I undoubtedly agree with you about that. I do feel that there is room for electric vehicles in our economy. I think Tesla has shown that, and we have seen success like the Ford Mach-E.
Tesla's just a computer on wheels.
Yeah,
the Ford F-150 Lightning is not a computer on wheels. It's not technology first vehicle.
I heard somebody just got a Tesla.
Yeah, my wife. Yeah, she's got a Model X, which I've been driving now because
I love it. You like it?
It's interesting. It's all I can say. I'm a gas powered guy, and I've always said that. So I will never, ever not drive a gas powered vehicle. But the Tesla, the technology is pretty incredible. I mean, just simple things like just using your app to heat the car up. I mean, you can't dislike that. Right? Like the other day, it was freezing here. The car was covered in ice. I click a button, I go out there and I got into a nice cozy cockpit. You know, it's kind of like my friend Arthur here, you know, who took a helicopter to his jet this morning, took his jet here, and he's sitting on the couch right over here. Like, you know, it's kind of nice. You know, you can't disagree with that.
Oh yeah. Prius drive. He said, Shane said Prius.
Yeah, that cannot be done with electric.
They love the Prius. Prius side? Is it Priuses or Prius side? Do you guys know?
Priuses need to get the F out of the fast lane. That's all I know. They clog up that left lane, dude. I want to.
Cars.
I'm in my big diesel 2500. I want to run those people over. But anyways.
Oh my! Wait! Don't you own a Tesla too?
Of course,
He's got a Tesla and a.
You got a Tesla.
I didn't know that. Interesting. Yeah. So I'm not going to go out there and brag that we have a Tesla. My wife, you know, hates pumping gas, hates it. And, you know, my buddy was selling this at Model X for what I thought was a ridiculously good price. And I wanted to sell the G-Wagon. So it was a great compromise, right? I sold the G-Wagon, which was bought with my infinite banking system. And now I'm getting all that capital back. And I didn't have to send that money back out to buy another vehicle. Cash. Damn it.
Hey Chris, while we're on the car subject, I just want to bring up a different car topic, James, because this is your girl up in New York State, the Attorney General, Miss Letitia James. She's very excited that she secured $9 million from Hyundai and Kia for failing to protect their cars from theft. So I was unaware that Hyundais and Kias did not have locks on their doors, but apparently they don't. Their reckless decision to forego basic anti-theft measures led to car thefts with deadly consequences. Now the companies must take measures to protect their vehicles. So I just wanted to thank her for, you know, making it harder for criminals to steal cars and addressing the companies instead of the criminals. I don't know. It's very on brand for certain Democrats in this country. I mean,
I definitely see this as a little bit too little, too late.
It's not the cars, it's the locks. Anyways,
it seems like it's a little bit too little too late. If anybody's out there familiar with the Kia boys, basically what was happening over the pandemic is that there were people who were going in there and you could steal a Kia or Hyundai, one that was key powered, that had a key operating system. You could basically break into it and basically turn the engine over with an iPhone cable. That technology has obviously since been removed, but apparently Letitia James is saying, like, look, was Hyundai actually aware that their system was so easily to be defeated? And if so, then they owe something to the auto buying public.
Here's
Now,
an idea. Stop letting criminals out on cashless bonds. Start locking people up. Stop being pro-criminal. Jeez.
All right, on that, let's talk about another government agency that really miffs me, and that is called California. California is just between New York, the state I live in, and California. I don't know which one's worse. Hochul, this bullshit mayor that just got voted in here, and then you got California,
and Minnesota, Minneapolis is charging after those two states, Chris, right now.
Well,
real fast. Look at this one.
If you're not first, you're last. And I don't mean that in a good way. I mean, you got to be first for the worst.
McDonald's in Minneapolis is now closed during normal business hours, the dining room, so they can ensure a safe environment for their employees indoors. Like, come on.
Dude, that's the McDonald's I want to go to, man. That sounds like a really fun place.
For craziness, dude.
But let's talk a little bit about the DMV. The California DMV is suspending Tesla's sales over misleading autopilot ads. Now, I don't know anything.
Give out the commercial driver's license of people killing everybody driving semi-trucks. But
right. Let me just explain this. This is California's answer. Oh, we're just going to tell Tesla they can't sell their vehicles for 30 days. And you want to talk about government intervention and government stepping where they don't need to? Isn't this why Elon moved Tesla out of California?
Yeah, well, a lot of companies in California.
For all of you California people, what the fuck is going on there? That really deceptive ads. All right, fine them. Slap some fines on them. Blah blah blah. But you can't sell your cars here. Okay, you know what Elon's going to do? Fine, we won't sell any of our cars here. California's grid can't handle it anyway, says somebody else earlier. There's times where there's blackouts, you can't even charge your Tesla. I don't know.
I think there's a huge ripple effect with this. Obviously, the cradle of Tesla buyers is definitely the Golden Coast. It's definitely California. And I think there's a little bit that's misleading in this article. There were several warnings. There was saying look, you guys are lying to consumers, but you're not taking this seriously. I don't agree with just saying, you know what, that's it. You can't sell anymore for 30 days and go and put you in timeout. But how do you leverage with a company that basically has more money than God for them to take you seriously and be like, look, listen up, we don't supply this. And also with Tesla just basically being able to just do whatever they want, even if it is in terms of deceptive advertising, if that is allowed to continue and propagate, what other basic companies does that spread to? So we're caught at an impasse. Is it too much government regulation? Is it too much corporate responsibility? Or maybe it's both at the same time. And I think that's something that we tend to overlook, is that sometimes the punishment is just as bad as the crime. And sometimes the punishment is worse than the crime. But the thing is that it's bringing this particular awareness to the issue so that other people learn that this is a serious message.
You call it what you will. I just think there's better ways to handle it, but hey.
Well, they weren't listening though. If they didn't listen, then it wouldn't have to take it to that extreme.
Because they said it has full self-driving capabilities. It does.
It does. You have to pay for that. It's quite expensive
all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not paying that for that. I mean, my wife drives Vivi to school every day, and that's it. But it truly does drive itself. We know people that literally never drive their car. The car drives them. So how is that false advertising? It is an autopilot. I don't know I don't know, but let's have a bunch of, what is it, Waymo or whatever those. I'll never get in one of those, just for the record. The auto driving Uber,
the self-driving Ubers, yes,
yeah, whatever. Okay, but that's okay, because I think those are pretty prevalent over there in California.
Yeah,
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, folks. I mean, I'm the other side, over here in bullshit New York, which I don't know.
We're getting Waymo in New York, right?
Of course,
they tested it in Waymo last
Waymo
year.
Here. Yeah, let's do more stupid things in New York.
Well, hold on. Just really quickly. Do you know that the rate of accidents with Waymo is way lower?
I'm sure it is.
And
I'm not saying anything about it being bad or good. I'm simply saying Waymo doesn't have better technology than Tesla for
Actually,
autopilot.
It's way better. Waymo is way better. Think about it. Tesla just now rolled out the robo-taxi, and it was only on a closed loop, whereas Waymo was already working in San Francisco 2 years prior.
Yeah, but
Their
it's completely different
technology
technology.
is way
It's
beyond
completely
Tesla.
different technology. The way that Waymo operates and the way that the Tesla cars operate are completely different technology. Waymo is like using pretty much like a Windows PC from like the 2000s compared to a brand new 2026 MacBook Pro in the Tesla. So they might be the bump
Waymo
along
incorporates way
longer,
more
but they're
technology.
nowhere
They use
near.
LiDAR, radar, and camera sensors, whereas Tesla just uses cameras alone, which can be obstructed and in cold weather
Especially in the
regions
snow we've been
can
getting.
completely misread things, especially when they get frosted over. So I'd rather have something that uses a number of different senses versus something that just relies on just its eyes alone.
I'd rather just not get in one of those right now. That's all I'm going to say.
When we
Now,
go to Texas, Chris, I'm taking you in a Waymo.
No, I'm not driving in a Waymo. I will call a different Uber. You can take the Waymo.
And
I
I'll get
like
there first.
human interaction. I like talking sometimes, and sometimes I don't like talking, but I just listen. Personal preference. Everybody can go whichever direction they go. But this one's an interesting one. Treasury chief credits deportations for falling rents. So Scott Bessent linked President Trump's deportation enforcement to recent declines in apartment rents during a Tuesday appearance on Fox Business, claiming that that reducing the immigrant population is easing housing costs for working class Americans. I don't have a dog in this fight. I have no idea. I think rents are just crazy right now. But it is what it is, I suppose. I don't know. What do you, Stephen, you got anything to say on this one? It's supply and demand, I suppose. It's likely that could be the case.
Again, I think that government should stay out of all this stuff. I mean, look what's going on in New York City for right now. New York City landlords need $1 billion to avoid defaults. The New York Housing Conference warned that affordable housing landlords in New York City need about $1 billion from the mayor to avoid widespread defaults. As tens of thousands of the city's roughly 213,000 subsidized rent stabilized units are losing money after pandemic rent losses and utility increases. The group said a multi-year rent freeze proposed by Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani could deepen the crisis unless paired with relief for landlords. So I don't see how
Landlords aren't getting any relief.
How these subsidized, rent stabilized, rent freezes, they don't work. They don't help. And I mean, look at this. It's crazy. $1 billion they're asking for. So you tell me.
They're not going to get it. No way. All right. Well, let's move on since you guys have nothing to say about that. The U.S. added 64,000 jobs in November, a sign the labor market is slowing. Now, this is where the media portrays things, right? So I've seen some of the articles where the media is sitting there saying, the U.S. adds 64 like a positive. That's not good at all. It completely solidifies the fact that we're slowing down. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, they're saying that the delays are caused by government shutdown, mixed bag with several warning signs. James, what's your take on this one?
I think it's a mixed bag, as it always is. Excuse me. Because when it comes to employment, there's full employment, gainful employment, and there's being underemployed as well. And when you just say the USA added 64,000 more jobs, well, how many of those jobs are actually high productivity jobs? How many of those jobs are people working their second or maybe even third job? And also, what is that in comparison to the unemployment rate, which we did see a small tick up, if I'm not mistaken? So we have to consider the entire picture, just as Chris was saying, when it comes to employment. Right now, the overriding sentiment across America is get into a job and just stay there, both on the employer side and the employee side. A lot of people are bracing for some level of economic deflation. So with that, it's better to have something than absolutely nothing. And if you have two jobs as opposed to one, well, that basically tightens down your financial hatches as much as possible, because a lot of us don't know what's about to happen.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the jobs lost right now are government.
Right.
A lot of the jobs lost are people they've been deporting. A lot in the tech industry, a lot in the tech sector. So, when you look at the overall jobs and economy, it's not, I don't think as bad as it's being portrayed right now.
Right.
Due to all of that.
Yeah, I mean, we were expecting, let's see, job growth forecasts. U.S. employers added 64,000 jobs, which was higher than the roughly 40,000 jobs economists had projected. We do know that that's a trickle down effect from a lot of other things as well. But are these jobs going to be coming back? That's going to be a big question. Where is going to be this transference of skills? Where are we going to see people who've worked in these jobs, 10, 20 years, who've basically been locked up in this particular intellectual silo? Are they going to be able to find something else that's going to be able to help them, or has AI essentially removed their job? And
A
what does
lot
that
of
mean
jobs
long
have been
term?
removed permanently.
Yeah,
So people are just
permanently.
going to have to evolve. People are going to have to realize that, like, like the world's changing rapidly and going to get faster and faster. And if you're not adapting and willing to change, then you're going to be left behind. I mean, survival of the fittest. I don't know what else to say. I mean, this is a radical change, very similar to the Industrial Revolution. I mean, there was massive change then. People fought that change. I mean, people fought all the things. I mean, from the washing machine to the sewing machine, I mean, to the refrigerator. I mean, what do we need that for? And that's where we're at now. Like, things are just changing incredibly fast. And I think a lot of people are just saying, I'm not doing that. And when the economy slows and the jobs disappear, they're not coming back. They're not. So people are going to need to figure out, what is next and how to do that. And it's going to be a tough pill to swallow. That's all I can.
And just
say.
really quickly,
But just for context, these are mostly government jobs. The over 100,000 right there is like 157. So
yeah, I saw that.
It's one of those things where is that a bad thing? I mean, I guess if you're one of those lost your job, but again, we need to shrink government. Like that's it has to happen. I mean, can I play a 40-second clip? You're a fan of.
Yeah, and I think Tech Force is also going to kind of push into that as well. I'm sure that Tech Force is going to develop a lot of things that are going to eliminate more government jobs. Yeah, go ahead and play it.
Here, this is a 35-second video, but Milton Friedman, I think, was one of the smarter economists of our day. But here's his opinion on kind of what we're seeing right now.
As I said before, keep your eye on one thing and one thing only: how much government is spending, because that's the true tax. Every budget is balanced. There is no such thing as an unbalanced federal budget. You're paying for it. If you're not paying for it through it in the form of explicit taxes, you're paying for it indirectly in the form of inflation or in the form of borrowing. The thing you should keep your eye on is what government spends. And the real problem is to hold down government spending as a fraction of our income.
It's just amazing. I don't know when this was filmed, years and years and years, decades ago, but it still holds so true to this day.
So much of that stuff holds true.
100%. Right. And for those of you who are looking to form your own opinion and wants to take in this full accumulation of data, of course, you do want to look at how many of those jobs were government. And you also want to look at companies like Paychex or any of the other issuers of payroll to actually assess how many jobs were gained or lost in the public sector versus how many were gained and lost in the private sector. And one of the best ways to do that is through payroll companies. So as you guys out there are looking to form your own opinions and want to do your own homework, that's one of the best places to start.
All right, well, let's move on to WTF World, and we're going to go a couple minutes long because we got to hit the WTF What the F section, but this one will be easy. I think world news can be summed up with Venezuela. I don't know. A lot going on there. Trump ordering.
And I would include Australia in there. I would include Paris in there, but go ahead.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the Australia, all of it. I mean, it's hard, but let's start with the oil tanker blockage from Venezuela. I don't know how to feel about this one. I mean, feel like you're meddling in something you shouldn't be meddling in. That's my opinion. What do you guys think? I just don't think we should be blocking oil tankers just because it's, the oil is going to somewhere we don't agree with. Like, we're not, I don't know. I don't agree with this.
Wars cost money. Military operations cost money. And right now, the U.S. should not be spending that money. Depending on who you follow, I know that a lot of you feel that, or at least been told that the tanker that the United States basically seized off the coast of Venezuela was going to be used for dubious methods. It was going to be used to fund cartels and drugs and stuff like that. But keep in mind, the number one buyer of oil from Venezuela is China. And I certainly wouldn't want to piss them off with some embargo, some blockade to keep China from getting their particular oil. And there's a concept that was illustrated that was basically piracy, because when Trump asked, hey, what are you going to do with the oil tanker? I don't know, bring it to Texas. That seems a bit absurd. And I'm not trying to take shots at DJT. I want to take shots at the situation. We saw this escalate from a few fishermen boats or alleged drug vessels being shot down. And now we've seen a full military operation where we've basically captured an oil tanker. So the question is this the steep slope that we've been talking about on this show now for months, not weeks, not days, months? Is this a precursor to something much larger, or will cooler heads basically show themselves so that we can say, like, hey, look, this isn't right, or this is right because we're trying to stop this particular thing from happening?
And they were just out catching some tuna.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
It is incredible.
It's AI.
Isn't it incredible with drones, though, what can be done now?
Yeah, it is.
It's unfortunate. Yeah, apparently there are a lot of fake videos out there of these boats being blown up. So definitely got to be, this is a good time to be media aware. And also it's a good time to get perspective from multiple viewpoints, not just the United States, but also like from the global audience as well. Just to give a true perspective of what's going on out there. Obviously, you guys know
they're always very honest.
Yeah, so I'm a blatant non-supporter of this. Nagy, to kind of speak to that end, yes, I understand that, you know, world media can also lie, and we've also caught members of our own administration lying. So the question is, what do you want to be your truth, and what facts or apparent facts are going to be used to support your opinion? And just because your particular news, and I'm not talking about you, Chris, or you, Nagy, not directly talking about you, but just because your source says that this is right, doesn't mean that they don't also lie, because we understand that there's a large amount of media bias in every situation. What I do know is that there was a tanker that was taken from Venezuela that was operating legally, and it was taken by the U.S. government by force. That's theft. If I walk into your house and I take all your food out your house and I say, you were about to feed drug dealers with this.
They allow that in Canada. They just allow people to come in and rob them. Like, don't do anything. Just
well, keeping this on point, if I walk into your house and I steal your food and I say that you're going to feed drug dealers, is that right? Do I have a right? I
suppose that's what they allow up there.
Yeah, but the police walk into people's houses.
This is world news.
All right. So yeah, we can talk about that, but I think we all understand the underlying ethics of this, and it's just something.
Wait, what ethics? I don't understand the ethics of seizing an oil tanker from somebody that's been sanctioned doing stuff that's against what the law is supposed to be.
What was the law that was being broken? Let's educate each other on this.
I mean, we don't have time to get into the history of all of this right now, but there's a reason why they did it and why they were able.
How about let's put a pin in this one and let's come back to this next week, because we're just running out of time, and I want to talk about Australia and what went on there in Brown University, which I know is more U.S. But Stephen, you want to kind of talk a little bit about Australia?
No, yeah, I mean, it's very important. I mean, it's very unfortunate what happened. It's a growing problem right now with these terrorists. They targeted a Hanukkah, first night of Hanukkah celebration, a bunch of Jewish people. I think it was 15, 20 people murdered. The videos of it are just unbelievable to watch. Gunmen just sat there and picked people off for well over 20 minutes. The police were just cowering behind vehicles, doing absolutely nothing about it. Of course, Australia, they took all their guns decades ago, so there's zero good guys with the guns. So they just had free reign for well over 20 minutes.
But now they're tightening up gun regulation even more.
And now they want tighter gun regulations. And then, there was an unfortunate shooting in Brown University, which they still can't find the shooter. He's out there. They won't, there's a lot of allegations on this being another Islamic terrorist attack. It was a Jewish lady that was targeted in this attack. They haven't come out and said. Providence is being very, very, very secretive over all this right now. And they're making mistakes during their live press conferences, making them look very, very, very bad. So good luck to them. But as soon as that happens, all these idiot politicians screaming about gun control and assault ban, weapon bans, and get the fuck out of here, man. This is the United States of America. We have the second Constitution for a reason, and it's not going to be impeded. So people just need to stop that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, the gun
And
Guns
the
aren't the
bigger
problem.
problem there are these
People with
terrorists.
guns.
There was a huge terrorist plan to set off these bombs in California, Los Angeles for New Year's Eve. That luckily they found it out and they busted these people. Paris. I was in Paris, France with my wife for New Year's Eve back in 2011, I think it was, or 12. And it was beautiful. We were down there by the Eiffel Tower. We watched all the fireworks. It was a great celebration, walked all over. Paris just canceled their New Year's Eve celebrations in that exact area I was at 12 years ago because of because of all this immigration that they've had, and they can't control the crime and they can't control these. It's a big, big problem. I mean, that's 4 instances this week alone of what's going on with this global immigration. So it's a problem and it's not going away. So where we go with 2026 with all this, we'll see, but it's not a great way to end 2025.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that stands out about this is we don't hear about a lot of mass shootings in Australia. We don't hear about a lot of mass shootings internationally. We do hear about terrorist bombings, and unfortunately, we've kind of become numb to it because we've seen it so often. But when we hear about mass shootings happening in the United States, it's pretty much par for the course. Why? Because we are so well armed and the accessibility to firearms is so prevalent. I don't support mass shooting, obviously, but
nobody
does. Go back to Columbine. Nobody does. We can go back to Columbine. We can go back to who knows how many times. And it's unfortunate, but it's also standout. And I think the question becomes for Australia is how can they avoid this in the future? Should their police have firearms and just be them? And to what extent is this going to be right? Like, shouldn't they have a SWAT team or something akin to that who would be able to neutralize an active shooter such as that nature? But now on the other end of the spectrum, we're talking about teachers in the United States having firearms and just having in a lockbox and having minimal training. And quite frankly, that scares the bejesus out of me because if we're getting to that level of society, that's a reflection on us. That's a reflection on the people. And as much as a lot of people are going to be villainized for these particular mass shooting events, we have to understand that the dominant majority of people don't want this to happen. And that's what I think we really should need to focus on.
Nobody wants it to happen. I don't think anybody argues that at all. I mean, that's completely universal, but the solution to it is different, right? And so when you look at some of these shootings, these mass shootings, they're almost all terrorists, mentally ill people that have like these agendas, like people that, but what do you do? I mean, and there's so many gun crimes in this country that are solved from a good guy with a gun, So it's like, what do you do? You don't want to be like Australia. The police department in Brisbane Bay in Brisbane Bay was 1 block from where the shootings were happening, 1 block. And these guys sat there for over 20 minutes taking people out. Like, that's a bigger problem, I think, than we have here, but.
Agree.
Like they don't have tear gas, so they don't have anything to protect themselves in a situation like that, protect the public. You would think that they would, at least that. I just found that just absolutely incredible.
Makes you wonder.
All right. Well, there's one final thing I do want to talk about, and we're going to spend just a couple seconds on this one, and then that's going to be a wrap. What the f? All right. Only thing I have to talk about in this section is China targeting the youth with toy robots, AI toys for kids that talk about sex, issues with China, Communist Party talking points. Tests show that AI toys for kids talk about these things. And I don't know whether this is true or not, but what are you guys thinking on this? I just don't buy any toys from China.
Hey guys. So, hey guys, yeah, I mean, could you imagine buying a toy, Chris, buying a toy for your daughter, and it's an AI-enabled toy, and it's saying, don't talk bad about President Xi, he's listening. Or the data that is tied to your toy, the data network is tied into your Wi-Fi, and next thing you know, it's giving all of your family's data back to the Far East. That's something that absolutely scares the mess out of me. I mean, they were going deep into these toys and saying, okay, let's really try to push this and see how long it takes before it gives pro-China type of rhetoric. And it actually broke. It actually said these things. So I find that quite interesting.
Yeah, very. All right. Well, that's
yeah, I
all
don't know.
got.
I don't know about those toys. I got one feel good story for you guys though to end this thing. So there's
Okay.
so if you're Indianapolis Colts fan, you guys know this story, but quarterback Phillip Rivers hasn't played an NFL game for over 5 years. He retired many years ago, over 1,800 days ago. He's been coaching a local high school football team for the last couple years. Well, guess what? Indianapolis Colts needed a quarterback. The 44-year-old stepped up. He went back to play. He started the game this past Sunday, and here is him throwing his first touchdown pass in over 5 years with his high school team watching. I think this is so cool.
Old man Rivers.
I mean, imagine your high school quarterback coach, your high school football coach goes back to the NFL and just crushes it, man. Unfortunately, they lost the game, I believe, but he played a hell of a game, and I just think that's super, super cool right there. If you ever played sports.
Did they get the W? Did they get the W?
They didn't. They didn't, but it was very close. He played a really, really good game.
That's
Well, I
good.
mean,
I'm glad we
between
ended
him
on some
and-
positive news because this was pretty heavy one for the last one of the year.
And I will remind you guys, yeah, this is the last of the year. Next week is Christmas Eve. So hopefully you guys are enjoying it with your families. So we're going to force Chris to stay home and not do the show. Just joking. Or else the show would go on. We got New Year's Eve. I guess New Year's Eve we're probably going to skip to. Maybe we'll do a surprise What the F. Who knows? We'll see. But anyways, our next scheduled What the F will be in the new year. But Chris, take us home, man. It's been
All right. Well, with that being said, thanks for joining us for this last WTF of the season. And with that being said, enjoy your holiday. Merry Christmas to all of you and Happy New Year if we don't see you with that surprise one. And that's all I have to say. We'll see you soon.
Ow!